Do you think some people go overboard in their pursuit of beauty these days? Well, get ready, because the queens of the past took this obsession to a completely insane level. From bloodbaths to masks made of gold and disturbing ingredients, these powerful women spared no effort to stay young and stunning. There's just one detail. Many of these techniques were not only bizarre, but also dangerous. Some caused unbearable pain, others led to madness, and in some cases, even death. The most shocking thing? Some of these practices still exist today, just in more modern and less deadly versions. So get ready to learn about the 8 craziest beauty rituals that queens actually used. But I warn you right now, after watching this video, you'll never look at your skincare routine the same way again. Ritual 1, the Queen of Blood. Elizabeth Bathory's insane beauty secret. Imagine being so obsessed with looking young that you're willing to bathe in human blood. Sounds like something out of a horror movie, right? Well, for Elizabeth Bathory, a Hungarian noblewoman in the late 16th century, this was just part of her daily skincare routine, supposedly. Now let's set the scene. Elizabeth was no ordinary noblewoman. She was one of the most powerful and wealthy women in Hungary. But apparently having money, castles, and influence wasn't enough. She wanted eternal youth. And how did she plan to achieve this? According to legend, she believed that bathing in the blood of young girls would keep her skin smooth and wrinkle-free. Forget anti-aging creams and facials. Bathory took skincare to a whole new and horrifying level. The story goes that one day, a young maid accidentally pulled Elizabeth's hair while brushing it. Furious, the Countess slapped the girl so hard that she drew blood. Elizabeth later noticed that the spot on her hand where the blood had landed looked younger, and so a beauty myth was born, one that would lead to some truly horrific crimes. Over the years, dozens, perhaps even hundreds, of young peasant girls disappeared after being invited to work at Elizabeth's castle. Some say she drained their blood and bathed in it as some sort of twisted spa treatment. Others claim she simply tortured them for fun. Either way, let's just say you wouldn't want to be a servant in her household. But was it all true? Some historians argue that these stories were exaggerated or even invented by her political enemies. After all, Elizabeth was a powerful woman in a time when that wasn't exactly encouraged. Maybe she was to blame, or maybe she was just a victim of a very nasty smear campaign. Whatever the case, the legend of Elizabeth Bathory still haunts history books, inspiring horror stories, vampire myths, and even some spooky skincare trends. Seriously. Have you seen those trendy vampire facials where people put their own blood on their faces? We're looking at you, Hollywood. Ritual 2, Queen Elizabeth Irwin's poisonous beauty. When makeup can kill you, we all know the saying, beauty is pain. But for Queen Elizabeth, Eye of England, beauty wasn't just painful. It was deadly. Imagine applying makeup every day, knowing that it was slowly poisoning you. Sounds crazy, right? Well, welcome to 16th century beauty standards. Elizabeth of Valois, the iconic virgin queen, had a bit of a problem. In her early 20s, she contracted smallpox, a disease that was basically the medieval version of a nightmare. She survived, obviously, since we're talking about her, but the disease left her face covered in scars. Now, being a queen meant looking flawless at all times. So Elizabeth turned to the most elegant solution of her time, Venetian ceruse. Sounds fancy, right? Well, here's the problem. It was made of pure white lead. Yes, lead. The same stuff. We now try to keep out of paint, water, and pretty much everything we touch. But back then, lead-based makeup was all the rage, giving skin a smooth, ghostly white appearance. It also helped hide wrinkles, blemishes, and, any sign that a woman might be aging, which in royal circles was apparently worse than death. So every morning, Elizabeth would cover her face with this toxic paste. At first, it probably worked wonders. Her skin looked pale and regal, just as the fashion of the time demanded. But over the years, the poison did its work. Her skin became grayish, cracked, and even more damaged. The solution? More lead makeup? It was a vicious cycle. Cover the damage with poison, which causes more damage, which requires even more poison. As if that weren't bad enough, removing the makeup was another disaster. The cleansing routine involved vinegar and mercury, another highly toxic metal. So, just to recap, lead by day, mercury by night. If skincare influencers had existed back then, they would have been screaming in horror. As Elizabeth got older, rumors swirled that her face was completely ruined under all that makeup. Some even say she lost most of her hair and teeth due to lead poisoning, but she refused to be seen without her iconic look, even though it was slowly killing her. The craziest part? People knew lead was dangerous. They saw women getting sick from it, yet they still tossed it around like it was the elixir of youth. Talk about suffering for beauty's sake. Ritual 3, Hooden. Ready 3, crocodile skin, Cleopatra's wild beauty. Secrets Cleopatra. The name alone screams power, mystery, and really weird beauty rituals. We all know her as the seductive queen of Egypt who charmed Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, but did. You know she was also ahead of her time when it came to skincare. Now, when we think of skincare, we usually picture fancy serums or a nice relaxing day at the spa. But Cleopatra? She went for something a little wilder. One of her most famous and completely bizarre beauty treatments involved bathing in fermented donkey milk and using crocodile dung as a face mask. Yep, you got that right. Crocodile feces. Let's break that down. First, the donkey milk. Cleopatra was all about that luxurious milk bath life. But not just any donkey milk, it had to be fermented. The idea was that the natural lactic acid in milk would exfoliate and brighten your skin. And hey, it's not entirely crazy. Fermented. Milk has been used in beauty routines for centuries. It's like ancient skincare before it was cool. But still, fermented donkey milk, you wouldn't see us signing up for that spa treatment anytime soon. Then there was crocodile dung. Yes, facious. Some historians claim that Cleopatra used crocodile excrement as a face mask to rejuvenate her skin. Why? Well, it was believed that the enzymes and minerals in the dung could exfoliate and tighten the skin. The idea was that the crocodile's association with water and fertility made it a symbol of youth and vitality. So why not borrow some of that magic for your skin? Did it work? Honestly, we can't say for sure, but Cleopatra certainly had a reputation as one of the most attractive women of her time. So maybe she was onto something. Or maybe the royal court just didn't mind smelling like a zoo for a while. Whatever the truth, Cleopatra's beauty rituals certainly make today's face. Masks seem a lot less exotic. Ritual 4, the torture shoes. The horror of Catherine de Medici's high heels. Most women love heels, right? They make your legs look longer, your posture more confident. But have you ever stopped to think about how far the whole high heels trend has come? Well, let's take a trip back in time to the 16th century, where a queen's fashion choices turned footwear into a form of torture. Meet Catherine de Medici, the Italian queen consort of France. Catherine wasn't just famous for her political moves or her mysterious history. She was also the one who introduced high heels to the French royal family. But wait, before you start imagining glamorous high heels, these weren't the cute ones you wear to a party. Oh no, these shoes were more like medieval weapons. The heels Catherine de Medici wore were extremely tight, made of tough leather, and often a little too small for her feet. The point? To make women look taller and more elegant. Because apparently being tall was the ultimate symbol of beauty and status. But here's the twist. The shoes were so narrow and uncomfortable that they caused serious damage to the feet of those who wore them. Some women even suffered from deformed feet, cramped toes, and permanent scars. So yes, beauty came at a high price, literally, but it didn't stop there. Not only did these shoes crush the feet, but they also caused pain in the ankles, knees, and lower back. The ladies of Catherine's court were basically signing up for a lifetime of agony, all in the name of looking elegant. And to add a little cherry on top of the fashion disaster, some of these heels were so high that walking in them was basically like learning a new sport. You'd think the whole torture shoe idea would have died, right? Nope. The trend caught on, and soon heels became a status symbol in European courts, even though they were literally making people suffer for their appearance. Ritual 5. The Hair of Death. Marie Antoinette's giant, infested hairstyles. When you think of Marie Antoinette, what comes to mind? Luxurious gowns, lavish parties, and of course, those incredible hairstyles. You know, the ones that look like they could double as buildings, with towering wigs piled so high they seem to defy gravity. But behind those stunning over-the-top hairstyles was a dark, smelly secret. Marie Antoinette, the infamous queen of France, was obsessed with her appearance, and her elaborate hairstyles became one of her signature looks. Oh, and these towering wigs weren't just a fashion statement, they were giant works of art, made with real human hair, feathers, ribbons, and even tiny accessories like miniature ships and miniature flowers. They were so enormous that they sometimes had to be propped up with pillows just to keep them upright. Talk about a commitment to beauty. But here's the twist. Those giant wigs came with some unintended side effects. You see, they were so heavy that they put a lot of pressure on the scalp. In fact, some women at court were losing chunks of hair and even parts of their scalp because of the weight. It wasn't just about looking fabulous, it was about surviving the pressure of these towering creations. And then there was the not so glamorous side, lice. Yep, those same wigs that were the epitome of royal fashion also served as breeding and grounds for lice. With all the hairspray, oils, and sweat, the wigs became the perfect environment for the parasites to thrive. You could be walking around with such a beautifully styled wig, but underneath it, an infestation. I mean, nothing. Says royal, like having your hair crawling with lice, right? Worse yet, to keep these wigs looking fresh, they had to be treated with poofs, special treatments made from a combination of powders and perfumes. Unfortunately, this often led to scalp infections, and some women's hair was so damaged that it did not grow back properly. Ritual 6. The Golden Mask of Horror. Wu Zetian's twisted beauty secret. Wu Zetian was no ordinary ruler. She was the only woman to officially rule China as an emperor, and her reign was marked by both power and, let's be real, some pretty extravagant beauty rituals. While most people were still trying to figure out how to get rid of pimples, Wu Zetian was taking skincare to a whole new level, and not in a good way. One of her most infamous beauty secrets? The golden mask. But this wasn't just any gold mask. No, Wu Zetian's beauty regimen involved mixing powdered pearls and gold to create a luxurious face mask that was said to make her skin glow like the sun. Sounds fabulous, right? Who wouldn't want glowing skin made of pearls and gold? But here's where things take a dark turn. The real secret behind Wu Zetian's mask wasn't just about the luxurious ingredients, it was the horrifying origins of the substances she used. Some sources suggest that to achieve the perfect texture for her golden mask, Wu Zetian added a certain unsettling ingredient, substances extracted from newborn babies. Yes, you heard correctly. This macabre practice was based on the belief that the skin of newborns, with all its fresh and youthful properties, could rejuvenate an older woman's skin. In Wu Zetian's case, these substances were believed to have miraculous powers when mixed into her beauty concoction. While there's much debate about how literally this was applied, it's clear that Wu Zetian's approach to beauty was anything but conventional, or shall we say, normal. The idea of harnessing the vitality of newborns in this way would be enough to make anyone shudder. But back then, the ruling class was obsessed with immortality, beauty, and keeping their power intact at all costs. Ritual 7. The arsenic elixir, the deadly glow of Renaissance queens. Ah, the Renaissance. A time of art, culture, and extremely questionable beauty choices. While today you might turn to a fancy highlighter to give your skin that radiant glow, the queens of the Renaissance were way ahead of the game, and by ahead, I mean dangerously ahead. See, some of these queens used arsenic, yes, arsenic, to get that flawless porcelain skin. Now you might be thinking, wait, isn't arsenic like super toxic? Well, yes it is. But that didn't stop Renaissance women from glowing, with the deadly chemical believing it would give them flawless, radiant skin. Imagine thinking you could get beautiful clear skin using a poison. It's like using bleach to make your clothes brighter, only worse. Here's how it worked. Arsenic was often mixed into face powders, lotions, and even ingested in small doses to help lighten skin and remove blemishes. It was touted as a beauty elixir that would give women a smooth, delicate appearance. After all, who doesn't want to look like they've recently been dipped in porcelain? The only problem? Arsenic is a killer. At first, it seemed to work. These queens and noblewomen would see that youthful, luminous glow on their faces, but like a bad magic trick, the glow came at a cost. The arsenic would build up in their systems, and over time slowly poison them. Symptoms of arsenic poisoning include hair loss, nausea, seizures, and eventually death. Not exactly the price you want to pay for perfect skin. Ritual 8. The maggots of rejuvenation. Russian queens and their skin-chilling beauty routine. If you think modern beauty treatments are a little too extreme, wait until you hear about Russian queens and their skin-chilling approach to youthfulness. You've probably heard of facials, lasers, or fancy anti-aging creams, but did you know that some Russian royals went one step further and let maggots feast on their dead skin to keep their faces looking youthful? Yep, you guessed right, maggots. Now, this wasn't just some weird medieval myth. There are actual accounts of Russian queens and aristocrats using maggots to perform a biological peel, a method in which tiny maggots or worms were allowed to consume the dead skin on their faces. The idea was that the maggots would eat away at the old damaged skin, revealing fresher, younger layers underneath. Sounds creepy, right? But believe it or not, some people were convinced that this was the secret to eternal youth. Imagine lying down while tiny creatures delicately chewed on your face. Some sources claim that the process was surprisingly effective, at least in the short term, because the maggots removed dead skin and promoted circulation. But what they didn't tell you was that this method was also unhygienic, dangerous, and gross. I mean, who wants to spend an afternoon with bugs feasting on their face, no matter how effective it is? Fast forward to modern times, and the idea has made a comeback in a slightly less gross form. You know how we're all obsessed with biopeeling these days? It's basically a modern, cleaner version of the same concept, getting rid of dead skin, using more hygienic and less gruesome, thankfully, methods. Still, when you think about the fact that this trend started with maggots chewing on people's faces, it's hard not to cringe a little. So after all this, do you still think that people today go overboard in their pursuit of beauty? Compared to what these queens did, even the strangest treatments today seem like a joke. Bloodbaths, poisons, maggots devouring dead skin. It's unbelievable what some of them were willing to go through just to look younger and more stunning. But the question remains, which one horrified you the most? Tell me in the comments. And if you like bizarre facts like these, subscribe to the channel. Because here we always bring you stories that you never imagined were real. See you in the next video.